It's showtime.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 kid-friendly horror movies. For this list, we'll be ranking the horror flicks that either serve as great entry points for parents seeking to expose their kids to the genre, or approachable horror fare for older, preteen kids to enjoy. Know of any we missed? Let us know in the comments. Number 20. Return to Oz. Sure, Return to Oz may not be appropriate for very young children, but for older kids ready to be introduced to horror or looking for a transitional flick that takes things to a creepy, weird, and yes, dark level of fantasy, then this is it.
I believe I'll lock you in the tower for a few years till your head is ready, and then I'll take it.
I believe you will not! Tick-tock!
Not only was it praised for how closely it stuck to the books, but as an unofficial sequel to the musical fantasy based on a children's book, the film allows viewers to find some familiarity in the returning heroine, as well as go on another Oz adventure with new friends.
Beware the Wheelers.
What's a Wheeler?
I don't remember them.
The Wheelers may have terrified a few, okay, many of us, and there are some intense and frightening scenes, but Return to Oz's PG rating and Oscar-nominated special effects are worth a watch, with some adults in tow, perhaps. Number 19. Casper. For a flick about a child ghost, this comedy drama based on the Harvey Comics character of the same name was surprisingly wholesome. Sure, the titular spirit's full name is actually based on Casper the Friendly Ghost, so maybe we shouldn't have been too surprised.
Hi? Man!
But if you think about the film as a whole, it's actually quite a bit darker than its preceding material, which includes the comics and several animated shows. Not only is Casper the ghost of a preteen boy, but also said 12-year-old had quite the tragic demise, and the fact it's explored makes for quite a heavy subject for a so-called children's movie.
You don't remember anything from your life?
No.
So, nothing? Oh.
With its elements of the supernatural and its young leads, Casper strikes just the right note when it comes to family-friendly horror. Number 18. The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is the perfect holiday movie, whether you're celebrating the spooky day of All Hallows Eve or the festival marking Santa Claus's yearly visits to children both naughty or nice, and or the birth of Jesus Christ depending on what you believe.
What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. What's this? There's white things in the air.
Produced by Tim Burton and also known as Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, the stop-motion musical is chock full of innovative animation of both the horror and dark fantasy variety, as well as memorable songs and creative storytelling.
This is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Halloween.
Critical reviews were particularly favorable, with the Rolling Stones' Peter Travers claiming it explodes the notion that animation is kid stuff, while James Berardinelli stating it has something to offer just about everyone. Couldn't have said it better ourselves. Number 17. The Gate. Deciding a proper entry point to real-world, non-animated horror movies can be challenging for a parent, so why not kick things off with a film that actually features young kids as protagonists?
Say, it's weird. Aka, Kuto, Ala, Ita.
The Gate was a perennial video store favorite, and its legacy lives on today for both fans who grew up loving it as well as a newer generation who have discovered the film. The Gate stars a young Stephen Dorff in a flick that actually writes its parental guardians out of the story for a large chunk of time, so it's up to a small core of kids to fight off the demons they accidentally free from a giant hole in their backyard. It's as fun as it sounds. Number 16. The Witches. There were few people who tapped into the imagination of children quite like Jim Henson. From The Muppets and The Dark Crystal to Labyrinth and Fraggle Rock, the man and his team were absolute geniuses. Henson was only a producer on The Witches, but his stamp of quality is all over this 1990 adaptation of the Roald Dahl novel.
Every country in the world has witches. And there is a leader, a high witch of each country.
There's a lot of heart present within this story of some dangerous disguised witches, not to mention the harrowing transformation sequence that harkens their arrival. It's just the sort of scene that is just scary enough to lead younger kids in for their first spooks and scares. Number 15. Tremors. Tremors is a near-perfect example of how to do PG-13 the right way. The special effects of the subterranean worm monsters are amazing. The characters of Perfection Nevada are kooky and full of charm, and there are some legitimate moments of tension.
Must be a million of them! Nope, just one.
The film also knows where to place its F-bomb for perfect effect, which will make younger kids feel like they're getting away with something. At the end of the day, though, Tremors is a balancing act that represents classic 50s monster movies, modern-day horror scares, and enough adventure for all ages.
Up on the road! Val, what are you talking about?
Damn it, Bert, just listen to him. Something's wrong.
Bert, Jesus Christ! Get up on your roof! The things, they're under the ground. They're bigger than we thought. They're huge. They're coming right after you guys. They're coming right now!
Number 14. Paranorman. There's always been a market for creepy animated films tailored towards the younger set, but the modern era has seen a full-blown renaissance for family-friendly horror fare.
The zombie is eating her head, Grandma.
That's not very nice. What's he doing that for?
'Cause he's a zombie? That's what they do.
Paranorman was just one of those films, a 3D stop-motion animated feature that was cute and well-conceived, but also served as a great entry point for kids looking to dip their toes into the scary stuff.
Why won't you listen to me? Why are you doing this?
The plot of a boy with medium-esque powers trying to break a witch's curse also features a strong voice cast, including Casey Affleck, Anna Kendrick, and John Goodman. But most of the nuts and bolts won't really matter once the whole family fires this one up. Number 13. Frankenweenie. Speaking of modern animated classics, Frankenweenie actually possesses a lot of pathos within its tale of a young boy who loses his dog and the struggles he endures after reanimating the pet.
You're alive. You're alive. Sparky. You're alive. I can't believe it. You're alive.
The film was a remake of an early short by director Tim Burton, and it has nearly all of the elements his fans have come to know and love, not the least of which is his kitschy but creepy animation style.
You brought an animal back from the dead?
No, Victor did, with lightning, and boom, and
Impossible.
I swear.
More than that, however, it's a great way to expose younger kids to Mary Shelley's original Frankenstein novel, as well as the Universal series of the same name. Horror history never had so much heart. Number 12. The Frighteners. We mentioned the realm of PG-13 horror earlier on this list, but Peter Jackson's The Frighteners pushed this rating to the very limit back in 1996.
The wicked will be punished.
In fact, the film was eventually promoted to an R rating. We can see why, since there's a serial killer who is destroying both the living and the dead. Yet, at the same time, there's this Spielberg-ian feeling to Jackson's vision that grounds it in a realm where both parents and older kids can enjoy. The casting of Michael J. Fox helps this cause, but The Frighteners does possess some successful scares and a vibe that's a perfect jumping-off point for the heavier horrors to come.
Oh boy. Oh, this could be the worst case I've ever seen. Oh yeah, this is bad.
Number 11. Goosebumps. Audiences of a certain age were likely super nostalgic when it was announced that R.L. Stine's Goosebumps series of young adult horror books were going to be adapted for a feature film.
These are all Goosebumps manuscripts.
What's he doing with a bunch of kids' books?
But these are kids' books. Okay, kids' books help you fall asleep. These books keep you up all night.
2015's Goosebumps actually gained gold stars across the board, with both fans and critics appreciating how the film treated the source material with respect, while also existing as its own thing. The key aspect to the film's success is its sense of humor, which Goosebumps uses to diffuse the more frightening moments with snippets of levity.
Slappy, it's so nice to see you again.
Did you miss me?
Of course I missed you.
This enables young kids to feel brave watching what may or may not be their first scary movie. Number 10. Something Wicked This Way Comes. It may not seem like a big deal today, given the availability of hard PG-13 fare on the Disney Plus service, but the decision for the mouse to go PG was a big deal back in the day. There were a number of movies from the late 70s and 80s that signified Disney's shift towards more dramatic material, with one of them being Something Wicked This Way Comes from 1983.
Why don't you come back later for free rides on these exotic animals? See all the fun at the fairground. What do you say? Go on. Come on, take them.
This adaptation of the classic Ray Bradbury novel pulls no punches with its measured pacing and dark subject matter as a mysterious carnival takes up shop in a small town. Soon, the townsfolk begin to fall in with the insidious Mr. Dark. A dust witch appears and all hell breaks loose in the best possible way.
I had some trouble with those two boys. Should we
just make certain they don't interfere in our work?
Number 9. The Watcher in the Woods. We're back to Disney's PG period for our next entry, the underrated and amazing Watcher in the Woods.
Catch, Mr. Curtis.
Yeah, a bargain like that wouldn't stay on the market a minute.
Maybe there's a ghost.
Yeah, what self-respecting old English house would be without one?
There's this pervasive sense of dread that runs throughout the entire film, as the mystery behind a missing young girl reveals a story with interdimensional repercussions. Watcher in the Woods even managed to capture an A-list cast for its production, including Bette Davis, David McCallum, and Carol Baker.
There's something I've got to do. Maybe she wants me to find out what really happened that night. It must be it. How? I don't know.
Again, the languid pacing might not be for everyone, but for those with the patience to buy into the film's great atmosphere and menacing mood, The Watcher in the Woods will reveal a bevy of scary riches. Number 8. Beetlejuice. What is there to say about Beetlejuice that hasn't already been said? It's a full-blown Halloween classic, a horror flick with imagination to spare and ideas for days.
What do you think of this? You like it?
Excuse us, please.
Sure, talk amongst yourselves.
It may be Tim Burton's most actualized cinematic outing, a flick that gets better with every viewing as background Easter eggs and jokes come to the forefront. Younger kids might get creeped out by all the dark humor and talk of the dead, but teens will likely come back to Beetlejuice again and again for their yearly dose of Halloween holiday cheer. Number 7. Corpse Bride. Hey, it's Tim Burton time again, and why not?
I do.
The man's work has gone on to become synonymous with all that's creepy and kooky, and that includes his animated material, Corpse Bride. The stop-motion style lends a certain uneasiness that makes it instantly appropriate for Halloween, while the actual story balances love and death in a way that never talks down to its audience.
My dreams were taken from me. Well, now I've stolen them from someone else.
Corpse Bride is a great example of family horror film because it can actually be watched as a family, with plenty of openings for discussion about some of its heavier moments, should the need arise. Number 6. Halloweentown. There's a wealth of amazing material to be found in the world of made-for-TV movies. Case in point, Halloweentown, which was originally developed for the Disney Channel back in 1998.
No, Grandma, this is totally awesome. I mean, nobody around here really appreciates my taste in weird stuff.
The film benefits greatly from its practical effects, which range from the pleasantly creepy to surprisingly morbid. There's a real sense of family and safety running through the film, however, so it never gets too scary.
So this is why so many have disappeared. First you put them under an evil spell, and then you turn them into statues.
Not statues, they're very much alive!
The actual setting of Halloweentown is a magical and memorable place, filled to the brim with imaginative monsters, while the entire cast seems game to treat the material with respect. The end results are nothing short of a semi-modern Halloween classic. Number 5. Arachnophobia. Although the fear of spiders is not limited to young people, there's a childlike glee with which this throwback monster movie plays out.
Molly, how can I make this more clear? I have a
terrible fear of spiders. I'm aware. I've seen what happens.
Produced by Steven Spielberg, this dark comedy imagines what would happen if a large and deadly spider from another country ended up in a quiet little town. Large spider webs appearing in farmhouses overnight, mysterious deaths, aggressive jumping spiders? Don't bother calling the local exterminator, they won't be much help. The film relies heavily on our natural aversion to the creepy crawlies and successfully creates a feeling of nauseating dread without needing to resort to extreme violence. Number 4. Coraline. If it seems like we've been discussing a lot of animated movies thus far on our list, it's for a good reason. There are just so many good ones out there. Coraline is perhaps one of the best, with a plot that may possess some emotionally complex beats, but it's worth having some difficult discussion to share this one with your kids.
We've been waiting for you, Coraline.
For me.
Yep, wasn't the same here without you, kiddo.
I didn't know I had another mother.
Of course you do. Everyone does.
That's because this stop-motion classic not only is dark in execution and tone, but its themes of parental disconnect with their kids and emotional unavailability are never tackled lightly. Beyond this, however, Coraline is just gorgeous to watch, impeccably voice-acted, and basically a Halloween feast of riches.
Now, you're going to stay here forever.
No, I'm not!
Number 3. The Monster Squad. There's just no denying it. If you were a kid in the 80s or early 90s, you watched the hell out of the Monster Squad. The film stays just barely within PG-13 territory, with an aesthetic that, well, let's be honest, it probably wouldn't fly today. But that's just one of the reasons why the Monster Squad works so well. There's this us-against-them mentality of this group of plucky, monster-loving kids that speaks to the horror fan in us all.
Scary house, real monsters, us, 12 years old, remember? Midnight, in the world, remember?
This sense of community that can only be shared by outcasts. At the same time, the actual monster makeup is incredible. The action is exciting, and the ending might even bring a little tear to your eye. The Monster Squad has it all. Number 2. Poltergeist. The classic and iconic depiction of a haunted house, Poltergeist may be a film by Tobe Hooper, the mind behind the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it clearly takes most of its influence from producer Steven Spielberg.
They're here.
His family-friendly style can be felt throughout, as we get lots of heartwarming scenes and dramatic character building among the footage of ghosts, skeletons, and demonic televisions. Watching the Freeling family be terrorized by this poltergeist as its energy is drawn to their small kids taps into some seriously traumatizing childhood fears, including clowns, weird noises at the window, and monsters in the closet. Although violence in the film is practically non-existent, prepare to be up all night. Before we name our number one pick, here are some honorable mentions. The Legend of Boggy Creek, the greatest G-rated horror flick ever. Teen Witch, the other kid-friendly horror flick starring Zelda Rubinstein.
Let's go back the other way. No, just go up and talk to him. Are you kidding? I'm so embarrassed. Look at how funky he is.
Hocus Pocus, a modern Halloween classic.
We shall be back, and the lives of all the children shall be mine!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Gremlins. Spielberg strikes again with another PG-rated classic of 1980s horror. His influence can surely be felt throughout the decade, and especially in the filmography of director Joe Dante.
Can I pick him up, Dad? Sure, go ahead. Just be careful.
Although Dante created many horror classics that walk the line between family-friendly and adult dark humor, like Matinee and The Burbs, Gremlins is undoubtedly his best effort at a drive-in-inspired monster movie that teaches children a valuable lesson about taking care of your pets. Kids may be lulled into a sense of security by the cute Furby-looking gizmo, but they'll come out entertained and afraid of innocent-looking animals. With enough humor to balance out the horror, Gremlins shouldn't cause too many sleepless nights. If you're looking for something with a bit more bite, may we suggest Critters?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.